You don't need a stage. You need a chair and the guts to tell the truth. I don't have all the answers. I'm still sorting out my own. But I've learned that when we name something, we drag it into the light, and it doesn't own us the same way anymore. This is for anyone else who's tired of bluffing and just wants to name what's real while we build. Most weeks it's me, sometimes a guest. Always becoming, always honest. This is no stage, just a chair. I'll start with a story. About 20 years ago, I was sitting in a coffee shop with a friend of mine. She was going through this season of reflection and wrestling with who she was and what she wanted and where she was going in her career and in her life. And it meant she was building a new website and a new identity and a new position and a new thought behind herself. And I asked her what she really wanted. She was a yoga instructor and she wanted to do trips and events and different things and connect people to themselves. And she said she wanted to be the best. She wanted to have the best yoga studio in the city. She had high aspirations. And the more she talked about it, the more it just didn't feel quite right. So sitting across the table from her in a coffee shop, I just asked her, "Hey, Mandy, do you trust me?" She said, "Sure." I said, "I'm going to ask you a question and it's probably going to be a little awkward. But we've known each other for a long time. We've been friends for a long time. And just trust me and follow me on this." "Okay. Need you to do something for me. I want you to look me in the eyes and tell me you're the most beautiful woman in the room." She kind of, little snort laugh, and grinned real big at me. And she was like, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." She quickly said, "Okay, I'm the most beautiful woman in the room." He said, No. You got to look me in the eyes. You got to look me in the eyes when you say it. This is part of it. Trust me." "Okay." I heard her take a deep breath, let it out, look me in the eye and say, "I'm the most beautiful woman in the room." She immediately dropped her face. She couldn't look at me for very long, couldn't hold eye contact. And I said, "How does that make you feel?" She said, "Weird." "Feels weird, doesn't it?" "Yeah." "Why do you think it feels weird?" "I don't know. It just doesn't feel quite right." I said, "It's because I don't think it is quite right." "What do you mean?" "Keep going with me for a second, Mandy. Trust me?" "Yeah, I trust you." "Look me in the eye." "Okay." I looked her in the eye and I said, "Mandy, you're the most beautiful woman in the room." "How does that make you feel?" Man, I felt the exhale. She said, "Different. Feels different." It's like, "Good?" "Yeah, real good." She kind of made the reference to the Grinch. I feel like my heart grew 3 sizes when you said that. Said it feels different when somebody else says it about you than when you say it to yourself, right? Yeah. And I hadn't planned on having that conversation that day. It's not a tactic that I'd learned or that I'd put into place. It's something that in that moment just kind of revealed itself. Sitting in a coffee shop surrounded by 40 people, surrounded by a room full of activity and motion, having a conversation at a table in a place that I think unlocks something true. And in that moment, I think I realized, and it wasn't just learning for her, it was learning for me too, to be honest. It wasn't like I was this Sherpa leading somebody along this hallowed path. It was kind of something that I stumbled into just as much as she stumbled into it as well. But I think we both realized in that day that it wasn't just about what we feel like we're supposed to say about ourselves, or how we feel like we're supposed to talk, or how we feel like we're supposed to be viewed in order to be successful. It's not what we think. It's not what we posture. It's not what we reach at and grasp at. Instead, it's figuring out the quietly true thing, because at the end of the day, the best involves winners and losers. In order for me to be the best, I have to be the best and you have to lose. And it's shifting in like this little way that is no less demanding, but is so much more meaningful. Where the conversation isn't about best and worst. It's not about first and second. It's not about first and last. But it's this tiny but giant pivot between best and great. Because the goal is to be great. And it's possible for me to be great and for somebody else to be great. It's possible for me to be sitting at a table of great, surrounded in a room full of great, in a district full of great, in a city full of great, in a state full of great, in a country full of great. It's possible for all those things to be true all at once. And it was this aha moment for me 20 years ago, where I realized in order for all of this to make sense, that great is the thing that needed to be the undercurrent of it all. It's what I want for myself. It's what I want for my children, for my sons. It's what I want for my friends. It's what I want for the people that I'm around. It's what I want for myself. And it was this quietly true thing that is kind of the undercurrent of the podcast. Because I've spent years on stages, I've spent years presenting, I've spent years performing, I've spent years communicating, I've spent years doing all these kinds of things, and all that's great and it's fun. There's nothing wrong with any of that. But that's not the goal here. That's not the goal today, and that's not the goal now. It's not the goal in this moment. The goal in this moment is not the stage, it's instead the chair. Because I'm a lot more likely to say the vulnerable things, so I'm sitting in the chair. I'm a lot more likely to say the unpolished things, so I'm sitting in the chair. I'm a lot more likely to share the things that make me feel vulnerable in the chair. And it's a lot more likely for me that I will uncover the truth in the chair and not on the stage. So what I hope for in these conversations, what I hope for in these moments is, I've already had this conversation this morning off camera. I don't want to grasp with sound bites. I don't want to grasp at those moments that are just secretly magic. Because I think that they have grown to the proportion that we expect magic in every moment. And if every moment isn't magic, it's kind of like looking at somebody else's Instagram. We look at everybody's Instagram and we see their birthdays and their anniversaries and their parties and their friends and their things that they do. And it's all these big, grand moments. And we connect all the big, grand moments and think that that must be their life. And it's not. Because part of my life is making sure that my kids get up in the morning and brush their teeth and comb their hair and eat breakfast before they go to school. And there's nothing magical that happens in all that. But it's in doing those everyday things, it's in finding the really true things, it's in finding those meaningful things that I start to understand what the truth really is. And in doing those meaningless, quote unquote, and I even hate to say it like that, we undervalue the everyday things. But it's in the everyday things, it's in the small things that greatness is born. And it's in the everyday things and the small things that trust is built. And it's in the everyday things and in the small things that turn into celebrating victories with your family and with your friends. And you celebrate them and you appreciate them and you are filled by them because of all the tiny moments along the way. And all those tiny moments are what contributed to that greatness. And it's what contributed to the highlight. But I want to learn and say out loud that for this, I want to value the chair. I want to value the dinner table. I want to value game night with your family on a Tuesday. I want to value all those things because that's the difference between the stage and a chair. I hear this phrase a lot, and I even had a friend that commented this whenever I said that I wanted to do a podcast. And he said, about positioning myself as a thought leader. And it felt gross. And I'm not saying that thought leadership is gross. I'm saying it felt really wrong to me because it wasn't the goal. It's kind of like the next logical thought in my brain from the best. It's like, my goal isn't to be the best. My goal isn't to be a thought leader. My goal isn't to do all these things. My goal is, can I do the quiet things that are really meaningful? And in doing the quiet things that are really meaningful, can I become great? Like the fullness of what it is that I am. Because that's the point.
The point with Mandy. You don't want to be the best. You just want to be great. You want to do what you do in a way that you do it better than anybody else. I'm going to rephrase that because I don't even like how I said it. I want you to be great, and I want you to do it in a way unlike anyone else. Because in the moments that we're unlike anyone else, we see truth. We see that undercurrent of the most honest thing. The chair that I'm sitting in, I've had for about 25 years. I got it for free. It's my favorite piece of furniture that I have. It's this mid-century modern chair that's got teeth marks right here from where a dog chewed on it. And it has some little cuts in random places. And it's imperfect. And no room in my house, no house has ever been complete until this chair was part of it. Like something about it, when I see it, it feels right. It's not the most expensive. It's not the nicest. As a matter of fact, most of the time, it's not even set in because the couch is more comfortable. There are things that are more comfortable. There are things that are easier, but something about this just feels right. It feels like a tip of the hat to what I really am. So it needed to be a part of it. So, like I said, I spent years on stages. And the goal was not a stage, just a chair. And that's what I'm here for. So hopefully this can be a place where I can say the most honest things and be a little unpolished, be a little imperfect. Be a little underprepared. But somehow find a way to be natural and me. And truth is, I'm not even sure what that looks like right now. And episode 1 is going to be different than episode 2, and it's going to be different than episode 3. And I know that I'm going to grow into my own skin, and I'm going to figure out what this needs to look like. And I'm going to find ways not to be so intense all the time. But this is a little bit of my mantra. And it's a little bit of the ethos behind all of what I'm setting out to do here. And right now it feels intensely personal. And it feels intensely vulnerable. And it feels really challenging. But I'm here for it. And if you heard something that made any sense to you today, let me know. Share it with a friend. Sit down and have a conversation in a chair with somebody else that's in a chair about these kinds of things, about what great feels like for you, about what the goal feels like for you, about the true quiet thing that you're really wrestling with. Because it's time for more of us to say it out loud. And along the idea of saying it out loud, I got a little nugget that I'm going to throw in there that's just because it's the way that I think. When I'm serious for too much time, there's a good possibility that I'm going to say something awkward. I haven't said it yet, so I'm a Dr. Pepper fan. I'm also a cappuccino fan. This wasn't intentionally part of the set, but it's what I walked in with. And I love a good Dr. Pepper. I shouldn't. My friend Kevin is going to tease me about this later because he thinks that it's just liquid sugar and it's bad for me. I'm okay with that. But I will also say this: Dr. Pepper in a plastic cup is better than Dr. Pepper in a glass. I don't know what the science is behind it. I don't understand why it's true, but it's true. That's my hot take for the day. Everybody says that you got to have hot takes. This is my example of a hot take. This is the hill that I'll die on. So, as dorky as that all sounds, there you go. And I'll just leave it here. This is where I say it messy, before anyone can assume that it was tidy all along. Thanks for being here with me for today, and I'll see you next week.